over his body and started the meeting on time. He was in Manhattan at 7 a.m. for an 8 a.m. investor meeting. He got in front of the main doors to the building of the investor. They could have had this shit on Zoom. Instead, they had to be there in person. Why did they have to be there in person? Because we need to make sure commercial real estate is flourishing. He got by an assassin with a silencer while he wore a jacket thinking about PowerPoint presentations on how he is returning value to shareholders by denying healthcare to moms with breast cancer. And he got caught in the street and they stepped over his body. Those investors that he was working for, the shareholders that he held dear as a CEO, they stepped over his pool of blood. They kicked the shell casings that led to the end of his life down the street because the meeting still had to start on time. These companies don't give a fuck about nobody. He was the chief executive officer of a healthcare company. They fucking didn't even check to see if he still had a pulse. They just wanted to check the stock price, which, mind you, went up 2.5% when they found out his ass was dead. Do less at work.
So we saw the breaking news that Brian Thompson, the CEO of UnitedHealthcare, was gunned down. And it's definitely a viral topic. People are talking about it all over the place. Over in Reddit is no different. So I came across this picture. Over here, it says, today we remember the legacy of UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson. And then down here, it shows that they are leading the pack with denying insurance claims. And that is one of the theories that's being thrown out because he and his company out here denying claims and breaking in millions of dollars. They say that that's the reason why he was targeted. So it says the industry average for denying claims is 16%. They out here doubling the industry average. Some of the comments. Needs more minerals says, what a business plan. People pay you monthly for protection and you optimize by not providing that protection when they need it most. The Great Yahweh says, insurance as a for-profit business is a straight up scam. Their job is to take your money every month and to do literally everything in their power to never give it back. And they've even successfully lobbied the government to make it mandatory to be insured in many cases. Who Even Cares says, it's the same in every insurance industry. Had my car totaled a few years ago and they offered me $4,000 when replacement was $15,000. It took me 5 months to get them to pony up the cash. I just kept sending them ads for cars that were identical to the one that got hit. And they just kept lowballing me until they realized I was never going to go away and accept their BS offer. The Great Yahweh then responds with, insurance literally only makes sense if it's socialized. The entire concept of insurance is so that we can collectively pool our money for when disasters, accidents, medical emergencies inevitably happen. So no one has to lose everything because something entirely out of anyone's control happens. As soon as you add a profit motive, the whole concept collapses because a handful of CEOs and shareholders need to line their pockets with as much of the community's emergency fund as they possibly can get away with. It's effing stupid. And here is the post in the Democrat subreddit, gunmen at large after a CEO fatally shot. And okay, so this person says, wait till you hear about Aetna. Aetna director admits to never examining patient medical records when approving or denying coverage. And California investigates Aetna after former medical director admits to never looking at patients' records when deciding care. And then this person, Rye Guy, says, perhaps the shooter isn't done. Plastivore said, maybe it'll be a 2025 trend. Rest Your Breast Honey says, perhaps there are shooters who've yet to begin. Mac Duke says, it's impossible to say. Maybe there are. I certainly would prefer this over school shootings. This person says, if we're all lucky, this is some kind of organized group and they continue targeting these SOBs all over the country. One won't make a difference. 15, 20, 30. Maybe then we'll see a shakeup. Watch a movie called Assault on Wall Street. Great idea if carried through. This person at the bottom says, in conversation with an EMS billing manager, Aetna is the worst when it comes to receiving payment. They never pay. will beat around the bush, nickel and dime everything, and will find one single thing in the patient care report to use as an excuse to not make payment. She said that most of the time when it comes to Aetna, the transport is considered a complete loss that the department has to eat. Now, keep in mind, there was a $10,000 reward, a whole $10,000. I bet that man made $10,000 in 1 hour as a CEO. But this person says $10,000 reward. Sure, what's that? The cost of a single ambulance ride. The person said it's a health insurance. They'll find some reason to weasel out of pain. So low rank cluster says, I have tears for family of those who die, but Brian is out of network, so I can't shed any. Blank account says, cops, do we have any suspects? Yes, they sent us a list of 10 million customers that have made death threats. And then Gardner Cook says, but if someone lost their life because their insurance was denied to malicious reasons, I would say the insurance provider committed the first murder. Rest is just vigilante justice. Cannot condone the murder, but we know that's the only punishment that they could ever get. Yeah, because they're going to find a way to act like these folks are not being malicious, and they're going to call it a white collar crime and yada, yada, yada. These types of people will never be brought to real justice. In the anti-work subreddit, they're talking about the record profits for United Health. And, they're even giving us a graph, and they use the flare rich people. Like I said, people they're not particularly sad about this. So Sky Kitty says, I just want to throw it in here that this company was using AI to deny medically necessary needs for those they insured. And also that the CEO boasted about this cost saving measure. And then the person following says, I was going to feel slightly some kind of way about being satisfied that this guy got whacked. And then I realized he caused more devastation to people's lives than any 5 serial killers combined whose execution society has celebrated. And I don't feel any kind of way but hopeful for the future where people enjoy their out-of-network Second Amendment rights. Red Fox Bad Chicken says the same is true for most billionaires. They've exploited and abused the common man, and now the youth of our nation will largely not know home ownership or a better future than their parents. It's up to every one of us to reclaim liberal democracy, all men created equal. Mech Warrior says, name one ethical billionaire that is still a billionaire. There are no ethical billionaires. Nobody became that wealthy through legal, moral, and or ethical means. Exploitation of labor is part of their foundation. So I'm just putting it out there that people know that these folks are sitting on mountains of money. And there are so many food insecure people, housing insecure people. And, maybe they're going to start looking at some of these folks as saying, you're the reason why. So obviously this is going to be in the news for a while as they try to investigate what happened. This article is from CNN. Just about every news network is reporting on this. Gunman is still at large though. And this was a brazen targeted attack. That's what the police are saying. Brian Thompson, UnitedHealthcare CEO, was oofed in Midtown Manhattan Wednesday morning in a brazen targeted attack as he walked toward the hotel hosting the company's annual investor conference. The gunman is on the loose, but the assailant may have dropped some vital clues while fleeing, according to police officials who spoke on the condition of anonymity because of the ongoing nature of the investigation. Shortly before 7 a.m., a gunman, masked in freezing temperatures, was lying in wait before opening fire on Thompson outside the Hilton Midtown, according to the NYPD commissioner. She says, I want to be clear. At this time, every indication is that this was a premeditated, pre-planned, targeted attack. The gunman approached Thompson from behind and shot him at least once in the back and once in the right calf, Tish said. Responding emergency workers took Thompson to Mount Sinai West in critical condition, where he was pronounced dead at 7:12 a.m. The motive for the shooting is unclear, and police haven't announced one, but a source with knowledge of the investigation told CNN that UnitedHealthcare's parent company, UnitedHealth Group, was aware of concerning threats against its high-level executives. The threats didn't mention Thompson's name, the source said. Thompson's widow, Paulette, told NBC News there had been some threats against her husband. Basically, I don't know, a lack of coverage. I don't know the details, she said. I just know that he said there were some people that had been threatening him. Paulette Thompson declined to comment to CNN on the threats she described to NBC. We are shattered to hear about the senseless oofing of our beloved Brian, she told CNN Wednesday. Brian was an incredibly loving, generous, talented man who lived life to the fullest and touched so many lives. Most importantly, Brian was an incredibly loving father to our two sons and will be greatly missed. So, and will be greatly missed is definitely subject to, who is telling the story, because people who were denied coverage because UnitedHealthcare denied coverage to 32% of its people, of its insured, they might not miss him at all. So that is what is going on. That's what people are talking about from various subreddits. And obviously, Paulette, his wife, join the conversation. Let me know what you think about this and all of this put together. Don't forget to like, comment, and share.